You ever notice how the moment you finally stop obsessing over something, it suddenly shows up? You spend days wanting a text back, refreshing your phone, overthinking every possibility, nothing. And then the second you let it go, the notification appears like it was waiting for you to relax. Or maybe you've been trying to solve a problem for weeks, forcing ideas, stressing yourself out. And then, out of nowhere, the answer flashes into your mind in the shower, like it was dropped into your awareness by something outside you. And here's the part people almost never talk about. These moments feel instant, almost eerily timed, as if reality was responding to your internal state the moment it changed. Like there's some strange, invisible mechanism monitoring your thoughts, your emotions, your attention, and reacting the moment you enter a different state of being. Some people call it luck. Some call it coincidence. Others swear it's the universe responding. But what if there's something deeper, something happening inside you that explains why manifestation seems slow for months, and then arrives the second you stop trying? So what's really happening here? Look, if you've ever felt confused about why some things in your life take forever while others appear almost instantly, you're not alone. People rarely talk about this pattern, but everyone experiences it. You spend months trying to manifest a relationship, a job, a breakthrough. You visualize, you journal, you repeat affirmations, you force your mind into optimism. Yet nothing changes. It feels like reality is ignoring you. But then something strange happens. You have one honest conversation with yourself. Or you release an emotional knot you didn't even know you were holding. Or you simply get tired of forcing the outcome and say, whatever. I'm done thinking about it. And that's when things move. A message shows up. An idea comes through. A door opens you didn't even know existed. And the speed of it feels almost unrealistic, like reality was waiting for you to shift before it responded. This is the part that frustrates people the most. Why does letting go work better than trying harder? Why does clarity bring results faster than effort? Why do some desires seem blocked until the exact moment you release emotional resistance? It creates a psychological tension. Because on one hand, you're told you need to take inspired action. On the other hand, your lived experience shows that reality responds not when you push, but when something inside you drops, settles, aligns. People assume these instant shifts are magical, or random, or purely spiritual. But here's the twist. There is a very real, very understandable mechanism, psychological and perceptual, that explains why reality appears to respond the moment your internal state changes. And when you understand this mechanism, manifestation stops feeling mysterious and starts feeling predictable. Now the real question becomes, what's causing this instant response beneath the surface? Here's where things get interesting. Because the instant feeling you get when something finally manifests isn't actually instant at all. It's the moment your mind, your emotions, and your subconscious finally snap into alignment. And when that happens, reality doesn't change. Your perception does. Your awareness shifts. Your brain starts filtering the world differently. And because of that, opportunities you couldn't see before suddenly become visible. Let's start with something simple, but incredibly powerful. The Reticular Activating System, or RAS. It's a tiny network in your brainstem whose entire job is to filter reality. Every second, your brain receives over 11 million bits of information. You consciously process maybe 40. So the RAS decides which 40 you notice. Here's the key. The RAS doesn't show you what's true. It shows you what matches your internal state. If your subconscious believes you're not good enough, not worthy, or not ready, the RAS will literally hide opportunities that contradict that belief. Not metaphorically, not spiritually, neurologically. But the moment your internal expectation changes, even subtly, the filter updates instantly. That strange quantum response you feel? That's your RAS shifting its tuning frequency in real time. It's like when you decide you want a specific car, and suddenly you see it everywhere. The car didn't magically appear. Your filter changed. Your awareness opened to a pattern that was already there. Manifestation works the same way. And get this, your subconscious runs the show, not your conscious mind. Your conscious thoughts are slow, effortful, logical. Your subconscious is fast, emotional, automatic. It controls your identity, your expectations, your confidence, your sense of what's possible. Here's the thing. Your subconscious doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you believe. So imagine this. You consciously want to attract a healthy relationship. But subconsciously, you believe love is unsafe, or people leave, or you're not enough. Your internal state is split. Your filter scrambles the signal. Reality feels slow, stuck, unresponsive. But the moment, sometimes in a single quiet moment, you emotionally shift or reframe a belief or release a fear. Your subconscious updates. And when that updates, your RAS updates. And when your RAS updates, your external world seems to update. This is where the quantum metaphor becomes useful. Because in quantum physics, the observer effect states that the act of observing something changes its behavior. In psychology, the moment you shift your internal observer, your emotional posture, your beliefs, your expectations, you change what behavior you notice, what chances you perceive, what synchronicities you detect. It feels magical, but it's your brain running a new program. Think of your mind like a tuning fork. When you're anxious, desperate, or controlling, the frequency you broadcast is incoherent. The world around you feels scattered and resistant because you're scattered and resistant. But the moment you enter a state of clarity, neutrality, or emotional congruence, your inner frequency stabilizes. And suddenly reality appears to respond. Not because the universe suddenly decided you're worthy, but because you finally became internally aligned enough to recognize pathways you were blind to before. Let's layer in one more psychological principle. Selective attention. Your brain gives priority to anything emotionally charged: fear, desire, self-protection, longing. But it also suppresses anything that threatens your current identity. So when you're trying to manifest from a place of lack or fear, your brain actually hides solutions. It's protecting your existing identity, even if that identity is hurting you. But when you shift from anxiety into acceptance, or from grasping into genuine clarity, your internal identity loosens. Your brain relaxes its defensive filter. And suddenly what you've been waiting for appears, not because it arrived, but because the part of you that could detect it finally came online. This is why manifestation often feels instant. The slow part was the internal alignment. The fast part is the perceptual shift. It's not that reality changed in 1 second. It's that you changed, and reality snapped into focus. And here's the wildest part. Your subconscious, not your conscious mind, decides when that snap happens. You don't get to force it. You don't get to control the timing. You can only influence the internal conditions that allow the shift to occur. People call this synchronicity, divine timing, the universe responding. And while the spiritual metaphor is beautiful, the psychology is equally magical. Your mind rewires itself. Your perception updates. Your awareness expands. And the moment your internal world changes, your external world appears to follow. So the question becomes, if this instant response is actually your mind shifting gears, what triggers that shift? That's where the deep dive begins. Okay, so now that we understand the psychological foundation, the RAS, subconscious alignment, selective attention, let's go deeper into how this actually plays out in your life. Because the moment that instant manifestation happens isn't random. It follows a very clear internal sequence, almost like a chain reaction. And the first link in that chain is something most people never notice. 1. Internal coherence. When your mind, emotions, and identity agree. Most people try to manifest from a fragmented state. They say they want something with their conscious mind, but emotionally, they're anxious about it. And identity-wise, they don't believe they deserve it or can handle it. That's 3 different internal radios trying to tune into 3 different stations. There's no coherence, no alignment, just noise. But the moment these 3 layers snap into resonance, the mind, the emotion, and the identity, your entire internal frequency stabilizes. And when that happens, your subconscious gives the green light. This is the moment reality appears to respond instantly. It's not that the external world rearranged itself in 1 second. It's that you finally became the person who could perceive the path forward. Let me show you what this looks like through real-life examples. Real example 1. The relationship text. You want someone to reach out. You think about them constantly. You rehearse conversations in your head. You wonder why they haven't texted. Your conscious mind is screaming, "I want this." But your emotional system is broadcasting anxiety, fear of rejection, and uncertainty. Your identity might even be saying, "I'm not enough." Your internal state is incoherent, so your RAS focuses on the absence instead of the possibility. Then something happens. You get tired. You emotionally detach, not as a technique, but genuinely. Your identity softens around the situation. You stop gripping. In that moment, coherence snaps into place. Your brain no longer perceives the relationship through fear or desperation. And suddenly, the message appears. To you, it feels instant. To your psychology, it was inevitable once the inner resistance dissolved. Real example 2. The career breakthrough. People will grind for months, trying to attract a job, promotion, or opportunity. They do all the right things externally, networking, applying, trying to be visible. But internally, they're doubting themselves. Am I really qualified? What if I fail? Do I even know what I want? Their internal filter is scrambled, so every opportunity looks threatening or unclear. Then one moment, sometimes triggered by a conversation, a realization, a moment of clarity, they decide. I'm actually ready. Not, I want it, but, I am it. Identity shifts. Expectation shifts. Belief shifts. And that's when the breakthrough comes, often days later, sometimes hours. It looks like the universe delivered the moment you aligned. And in a way, that's exactly what happened, just through the psychological pathway of selective attention and internal confidence. Real example 3. The money shift. Money manifestation is one of the clearest examples of internal coherence. A person can want more money, desperately, but if they feel unworthy, afraid of responsibility, or secretly believe good things don't last, their subconscious blocks financial opportunities to protect their emotional equilibrium. Then maybe one day, during a walk, a meditation, or a breakdown, something clicks. They release a belief. They stop attaching their worth to their income. They stop fearing loss. Suddenly they're calm. And that's usually when a new opportunity, idea, or unexpected check appears. Why? Because their internal identity finally matched the level of abundance they were trying to call in. To the conscious mind, the result appears instant. But the subconscious was the one holding the gate the entire time. Why this feels quantum. Let's talk about why this feels so strangely timed, almost cosmic. Quantum physics uses the observer effect. The act of observing changes what happens. You don't have to manipulate a particle. Just paying attention affects it. This is a metaphor for your internal world. The moment you shift the way you observe your life, your beliefs, your emotional state, your identity, your expectations, your entire perceptual field reorganizes. You stop noticing dead ends and start noticing possibilities. You stop tuning into fear and start tuning into solutions. You stop seeking signs of failure and start noticing openings that were invisible before. That perceptual shift happens immediately, instantly, quantum fast. That's why life appears to respond in the same moment. It's not that the external reality changed. It's that you changed the internal observer, and the world you were looking at rearranged itself through your new lens. This is why people say things like, "Once I stopped caring, everything fell into place. When I finally made peace with myself, things started happening so fast." They didn't manifest faster. They perceived faster. They acted faster. They recognized paths they were blind to. The universe didn't speed up. Their coherence did. Conscious versus subconscious layers. Let's break the layers down more clearly. 1. Conscious desire. What you say you want. This part of you has almost no power. 2. Subconscious expectation. What you truly believe will happen. This part drives 95% of your behavior and perception. 3. Emotional resonance. Your current state, fear, calm, anticipation, doubt. Your brain uses emotion as the priority filter. 4. Identity level. Who you think you are. This is the deepest layer. You cannot manifest outside of your identity. Instant manifestation happens when all 4 of these layers point in the same direction. Not forced, not faked, but genuinely aligned. Why the shift feels instant? Because the inner change is instant. It takes months to try, push, force, visualize. But it takes 1 second to release resistance. 1 second to feel clarity. 1 second to shift identity. 1 second to stop chasing. 1 second to believe. And the moment that second arrives, your brain filters reality differently. Your awareness expands. And pathways you couldn't access before become obvious, available, and actionable. This is the strange quantum response so many people talk about. It's not mystical in the sense of breaking laws of physics. It's mystical in how deeply your internal world and your perception are intertwined. And once you understand this, a new question emerges. If instant manifestation is triggered by internal coherence, how do you intentionally create that coherence in your own life? That's where the practical implications begin. So now that we've broken down how this strange, instant feeling response actually works, the next step is understanding what it means for your real life. Because once you see how your internal state shapes your perception, and how your perception shapes your reality, suddenly manifestation stops being this mystical guessing game and becomes something much more practical, grounded, and predictable. And here's the thing. Most people think they're trying to manifest things. But what they're actually trying to manifest is a feeling. The feeling of certainty, the feeling of safety, the feeling of worthiness, the feeling of, this is who I am. Manifestation isn't about pulling something into your life. It's about becoming someone who naturally perceives, chooses, and creates the things they want. Which brings us to the first huge implication. 1. You're not manifesting outcomes. You're manifesting identity. When you finally shift your identity, the world reorganizes around it. Think about it. A person who believes they're unlovable will interpret texts through insecurity, will avoid vulnerability, will choose emotionally unavailable partners. A person who believes they're worthy will interpret those same situations completely differently. Same reality. Different internal observer. Different outcome. Your identity determines what you tolerate, what you pursue, what you fear, what you attract, what you notice, what you dismiss. Instant manifestation happens when the identity shift happens, which means the real work isn't calling things in. It's becoming the version of you to whom those things naturally flow. 2. Letting go works because your brain stops protecting the old you. People misunderstand the concept of letting go. They think it means giving up or forcing yourself not to care. But psychologically, letting go means releasing the emotional grip, dropping the identity-level fear, relaxing the RAS filter, allowing new perceptions to form. When you're gripping tightly onto an outcome, your brain interprets it as danger or threat. Your emotions say, "This matters too much. If it doesn't work, I'm not okay." Your subconscious responds by blocking anything that might destabilize you, even if that thing is what you consciously want. But letting go tells the subconscious, "I'm safe. I'm stable. You don't need to protect me from this." And suddenly, the filter opens. That's why opportunities show up when you're relaxed. Not because the universe rewards nonchalance, but because your brain finally stops fighting the outcome. 3. Your emotional state is a magnet for your attention, not the universe. Here's a huge shift in perspective. Your emotional frequency doesn't magnetize objects. It magnetizes perception. When you're anxious, you notice fear. When you're hopeful, you notice possibility. When you're grounded, you notice clarity. When you believe you deserve good things, you notice them when they arrive. Your emotional state literally alters your perceptual landscape. This is why two people can walk into the same room and experience completely different realities. One sees competition, threats, judgment. The other sees opportunities, connections, possibilities. They're not living in the same psychological world. So when you shift your emotional state, your world shifts with it. This isn't magic. It's cognitive science. It's the foundation of every spiritual tradition. It's the mechanism behind instant manifestation. 4. You don't attract what you want. You attract what feels normal. This part is deep. Your subconscious doesn't create what's exciting, or what's dramatic, or what's ideal. It creates what feels familiar. If chaos is familiar, you will attract chaos. If inconsistency is familiar, you will choose inconsistent people. If self-doubt is familiar, you will sabotage certainty. If peace becomes familiar, you will stop tolerating anything that disrupts it. Manifestation becomes instant the moment the desired reality becomes normal, not special. This is why affirmations often don't work. You're trying to install a belief that feels unnatural. But when the belief finally becomes familiar, your RAS updates instantly. Your actions shift automatically. Your choices align effortlessly. And suddenly your life begins matching your internal world. Not slowly. Immediately. 5. Your relationships are mirrors of your internal alignment. This might be the most eye-opening implication for many viewers. The people who enter your life, and the speed at which they appear, reflect the identity you currently hold. If you're emotionally incoherent, you attract people who trigger that incoherence. If you're clear and grounded, you attract people who meet you there. If you shift your sense of worth, the type of people who show up changes instantly. Relationships are a real-time reflection of your internal calibration. This is why someone who couldn't attract a healthy partner for years suddenly meets someone aligned right after they heal something inside themselves. It's not coincidence. It's not magic timing. It's psychological resonance. When your emotional frequency changes, the way you interpret and choose people changes. What feels appealing changes. What feels wrong changes. What feels obvious changes. You attract differently because you choose differently. 6. Goals become easier not because life changes, but because perception changes. A funny thing happens when your internal world shifts. You stop procrastinating. You stop doubting yourself. You stop chasing approval. You stop repeating old stories. You stop misinterpreting neutral events as threats. It's not that the goals suddenly fell into your lap. It's that the obstacles that once felt massive suddenly feel irrelevant. Manifestation becomes instant because the internal block disappears. Imagine a person who wants to start a business but subconsciously fears failure. Their RAS will highlight problems, risks, reasons to delay. But if their belief shifts, I'm capable. I can handle uncertainty. This matters to me. The RAS starts highlighting solutions, resources, connections. Same world, different observer. And the path forward becomes visible instantly. 7. The quantum field is really just your field of possibilities. When spiritual teachers talk about the quantum field, they're pointing at something real. Not physics, but psychology. Your field of possibilities expands or contracts based on your sense of self, your emotional baseline, your habitual thoughts, your belief system, your expectations, your past conditioning. When people say, the universe opens doors for you, what they're really describing is the moment you enter a state where you can finally see those doors. The possibilities didn't appear. Your awareness lifted enough to notice them. This is why instantly manifested outcomes feel magical. Because your internal world suddenly syncs with a timeline that always existed. You just weren't able to perceive it until now. 8. Instant manifestation isn't about speed, it's about visibility. This is the final, and maybe most important implication. Manifestation doesn't happen fast. It becomes visible fast. Clarity becomes visible. Opportunities become visible. People become visible. Ideas become visible. Paths become visible. The entire world looks different because you're looking at it through the eyes of someone who is no longer fragmented. Someone who is coherent, aligned, grounded, clear. That's what makes manifestation instant. Not a cosmic reward. Not luck. Not timing. A moment of alignment so deep that your perception shifts, your decisions shift, and reality feels like it's responding in real time. And this leads us straight into the next question. If instant manifestation happens when your internal world syncs, then how do you consciously create that internal shift? That's what the next section is all about. So now the real question becomes, if instant manifestation is triggered by internal coherence, mind, emotion, expectation, and identity aligning, how do you consciously create that shift instead of waiting for life to corner you into it? Because here's the thing. You don't manipulate reality into responding. You create the internal conditions that make you perceptually and emotionally ready to receive the version of reality that was always available. Let's break down the core practices that actually generate instant shifts, not metaphorically, but psychologically and experientially. 1. State alignment practice. Shift your emotional state first, not your outcome. Most people try to change the thing, the relationship, the job, the opportunity, the timing. But the internal state is what determines the speed of manifestation. Here's how to do state alignment properly. Step 1. Identify the emotional state of the version of you who already has what you want. Are they calm, confident, grounded, detached, certain? Step 2. Instead of asking, how do I get the outcome? Ask, what emotional state would I have if it was already done? Step 3. Shift into that state before you take action or visualize. This can be as simple as dropping your shoulders, slowing your breath, softening your internal dialogue, imagining what already done feels like in your body. When the emotional state and the desire contradict each other, you create incoherence. When they match, your subconscious stops fighting the outcome. This alignment can happen in seconds, and that's why results often appear instantly afterward. 2. The intention plus release method. Set the direction. Release the grip. Setting intention is powerful. Clinging to intention is resistance. The brain sees gripping as fear, and fear activates the survival system that blocks new perception. Here's the practical approach. Step 1. Clarify the intention. Not a fantasy, not a desperate plea. Just a clear direction. I want a relationship where I feel safe. I want work that matches my strengths. I want financial relief. Step 2. Feel the intention as a possibility, not a demand. This is where most people go wrong. The moment intention feels like pressure, the subconscious clamps down. Step 3. Release the timeline and emotional gripping. You can do this by saying internally, "It's allowed to unfold. I don't need to force this." This immediately lowers emotional resistance. Step 4. Return to your life. Re-engage with the present moment. Let the subconscious handle the alignment process. Instant manifestation often happens right after the release, because the emotional system finally moves out of threat mode. 3. Identity rehearsal. Don't visualize the outcome. Embody the identity. Visualizing outcomes is helpful, but becoming the person who can receive that outcome is transformational. Identity rehearsal works like this. Step 1. Ask yourself, what identity did I need to shift into for this manifestation to feel normal? Step 2. Adopt one tiny behavior or posture from that version of you. Not a full personality makeover. Just a small, believable shift. Standing differently. Speaking with slightly more certainty. Making decisions 5% more confidently. Responding with less fear. Acting as someone who is already chosen, already capable, already worthy. Step 3. Practice this identity for 24 hours. This is the key. Identity doesn't change when you visualize. It changes when you experience yourself differently. When your behavior even slightly resembles the identity of the coherent version of you, your subconscious updates automatically. Identity shifts are the fastest triggers for instant manifestation, because they recalibrate your entire perceptual and emotional system in one move. 4. Perception training, tuning the RAS. Train your brain to notice opportunities before they become obvious. This is where psychology meets spirituality in the most practical way. Your RAS determines what you see, which means you can train it to highlight opportunities that already exist but are currently invisible. Here's the method. Step 1. Each morning, ask one question. What would I notice today if what I want is already in motion? This question rewires your brain to look for evidence that aligns with your desired reality. Step 2. Throughout the day, gather even the smallest signs. Not to convince yourself, but to tune your attention. It can be small. A relevant conversation. A new idea. A sense of clarity. Seeing something that inspires you. Feeling unexpectedly calm. These microsigns condition your RAS to stay open. Step 3. End your day with a single reflection. What aligned with my intention today? This is not delusion. This is cognitive training. It's how athletes train for success. It's how entrepreneurs spot opportunities. It's how spiritually grounded people detect synchronicity. And it activates the exact mechanism behind instant manifestation. Your filter updates, your identity stabilizes, and the world looks different immediately. What you'll notice when you apply these practices. When you start shifting state, releasing grip, embodying identity, and training perception, you'll see changes quickly, often within days, sometimes within hours. Here's what you'll experience. 1. reality feels lighter. Decisions feel clearer. Opportunities feel closer. Resistance drops. 2. Synchronicities increase. Not magical signs. Your brain is finely tuned to your desired outcomes. 3. People respond differently. Because your energy, your emotional posture, has changed. 4. Confidence rises without effort. Identity alignment does the heavy lifting. 5. You stop chasing. You start choosing. 6. Breakthroughs happen faster. Because you're no longer blocking the pathway to them. 7. Instant moments become normal. When you're aligned, life appears to respond in real time. This is how manifestation becomes predictable, grounded, and deeply empowering. Not through force, not through obsession, but through inner coherence that snaps your perception into a new reality. So let's bring everything together. Throughout this video, we explored a phenomenon that so many people feel but rarely understand. That strange moment when something you've been wanting for weeks, months, sometimes even years, suddenly appears the moment your internal state shifts. We've seen that it's not magic. It's not luck. It's not the universe randomly choosing to respond now instead of all the times you begged or forced or visualized. It's coherence. The moment your thoughts, emotions, expectations, and identity fall into alignment, your perception updates. Your reticular activating system recalibrates. Your subconscious stops protecting your old story, and the reality that was always available finally becomes visible. Instant manifestation isn't about bending the external world. It's about snapping your internal world into a state where the path forward reveals itself. Because once you shift the inner observer, the outer world feels different. People show up differently. Opportunities stand out more clearly. Ideas come through faster. Synchronicities cluster. And life feels like it's responding in real time. This is the quantum response people talk about. Not a violation of physics, but a transformation of perception, identity, and emotional resonance. And here's the final thought to sit with. You don't manifest when the universe decides you're ready. You manifest the moment you become ready to perceive and receive what's been waiting for you. If this resonated with you, if you've experienced moments like this, or you felt something in you shift while listening, drop a comment and share your experience. Your story might be the message someone else needs to hear today. And if you want more deep dives into the psychology, consciousness, and hidden mechanics of the human mind, subscribe to Echoes Between Worlds. We explore these mysteries every week, and trust me, we're just getting started.